In this video, we are going to divide using long division, but also model it using our base 10 blocks. Remember our base 10 blocks, we think about our place values in a number. We have our hundreds place, our tens place, and our ones place. You can just draw the hundreds place using a square, the tens place using a line, and our ones place using a dot. If I want to start dividing, let's say 56 divided by 4. I know that my dividend, the largest number, tells me what my whole total amount I have is. And my divisor tells me how many equal groups I'm going to divide this number into. So I have 56. I'm going to draw out 56 using my base 10 blocks. I have 5 tens and 6 ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ones. And I have 4 equal groups that I'm going to divide that into. So there's my one group, second group, third group, and fourth group, my 4 equal groups. Now I know that I'm going to divide 56 into these 4 groups. I'm going to start with my tens place here. I already see that I can put 1 10 into each group equally. So let's start that off. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I come into a small problem where I only have 1 10 left, and I have 4 groups to split that into. I know that this 1 10 is also equal to 10 ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trade this 1 10 for 10 ones so that now I can make that 10 split up equally into these 4 groups. So now I'm going to take my leftover ones here. So I have 10 ones and my 6 from my equation. So I have 16 total ones here that I'm going to split into these 4 groups as equally as I can. So let's start again. Because I know there's a lot, I'm going to maybe do 2 at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. And now, again, I have more ones that I need to distribute equally. I might just go 1 at a time because I'm not sure if I can fill them all up in 2s. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, I have some ones left over, and I still have 4 equal groups. And it looks like I have an equal amount in this equation. So I can give each group another 1. Now, looking at this model, I have 56 divided by 4 is equal to 1 10 and 4 ones, which is 14. So 56 divided by 4 is 14. I'm going to check this work using long division now. Remember, 56 divided by 4, I can write using my long division. 56, the dividend goes inside. My divisor is right outside, and my quotient, the answer, is going to be up here. A hint that I've been saying is our long division symbol is kind of like a house, where in a house we have a dad, a mom, a sister, and a brother. When we have our dad, we first divide. Next, our mom, we multiply. Then we subtract with our sister, and with our brother, we bring down the leftover numbers that we can. So that kind of helps me think about the process of long division. So now let's start. I'm going to look at my tens place again first. Just like we did in our modeling here, we looked at our tens place first. I'm going to see how many times does 4 go into this 5 here. Just like we did here, how many times can I have these 5 tens go into these 4 equal groups? So I'm dividing. 4 can go into 5 how many times? And I'm thinking I could only have 4 and 5 one time. Now my next step is to multiply. I'm going to do 4 times 1 is 4. My next step is to subtract. 5 minus 4 is 1. Now, if you take a look here, I have 1 10 that's left over. And I know this is a 10 because it's still in my tens column. I've been writing it all in one line. I have 1 10 left over here. If you go back to our modeling, our drawing, we saw that we had 110 also left over here that we had to do something with before dividing into those 4 groups again. Now let's keep going with our long division. 5 minus 4 is 1. My next step after subtract is our brother. We bring down our next number. So we bring down this 6. Our new number we're dividing is 16. We're thinking and we're going back to division. 4 goes into 16 how many times? And going back to my picture here again, after I traded in my 10 ones, I had 16 ones here total that I had to divide into the 4 groups again. Same thing here. I have 16 ones that I'm going to divide into these 4 equal groups. So I'm thinking, what can I divide 16 by to have 4? 4 times maybe 3. But if I put a 3 here, my next step is to multiply. 3 times 4 is 12. I know that I'm going to have a larger number when I subtract here than 4 or equal to 4. So I know it can't be 3 here. It has to be something larger. So I'm going to try 4. 4, next multiply. 4 times 4 is 16. Now 16, our next step is to subtract. 6 minus 6 is 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. My next step is to bring down, but I have nothing to bring down. I have nothing left here, no remainders. So my quotient, my answer is 14. And if you look at both our modeling using base 10 and our long division, they are both the same answer and our work shows the same thing. Now let's try dividing a 3-digit number. Let's do 175 divided by 5. Again, I'm going to solve this first using my base 10 blocks of hundreds, tens, and ones. I see that my dividend is 175, so I'm going to draw out my total that I have. I have 100, I have 7 tens, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 5 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know now this time my divisor is 5. I want to split this up into 5 equal groups. So I'm going to draw my 5 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you want, you can draw your groups into squares. You can make them circles, but I just drew my 5 equal groups this way. So I have 100 here, and I have to split this 100 into these 5 groups. I can't just split this up into these 5 groups. I only have 100. But what I can do is I can break it apart and make this 100 into 10 tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now I have this 100, and that's made into 10 tens. So my total tens I have here is 17 tens. I'm going to go and think, how can I split these 17 tens into these 5 equal groups? And I already know that I can't split it up into 5 groups as 5 groups perfectly equal, but I can split them up as closely equal as I can. So let's start off, and I already know I have a few amounts, so I might just do maybe 2 at a time again. So 2 tens here, 2. And I have some more here, and I might just go 1 at a time now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I have 2 tens left over, but I have 5 equal groups. So if I put another 10 here and another 10 here, my 5 groups would not be equal. So I know what I can do with these 2 tens now. Just like I did with my hundreds, I can trade these 2 tens into 20 ones, because 1 10 is 10 ones, but I have 2 of them, so I'll have 20 ones. Now I have 20 ones here. I have 5 ones from my original equation here, so I have 25 ones. Now I'm going to split up these 25 ones into these groups as equal as I can again, the best I can. So let's see. Again, I have a few, so I'm going to maybe do 3 at a time this time. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, after I'm done, I have no ones left. I have no tens left. I split everything up as equally as I can, and here it's perfectly equal with nothing left over, no remainders. So when I see 175 divided by 5 equal groups, there is 10, 20, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35 in each of these groups. So 175 divided by 5 is 35. Now I want to check this using long division. So let's see what it is using long division. I'm just going to move this to the side. And I want to make sure that it pretty much lines up and matches up. So if I have 175, remember, I can rewrite this division problem using our long division way with a dividend inside, our divisor on the outside. And I have my small thought of there's a long division family. My first step is to divide. I'm going to take a look at my hundreds place, just like I did here. 5 can go into 1 how many times? And I know that actually 5, if I have 5 groups and only one thing to share, it cannot go in equally. My next step is to multiply. 5 times 0 is 0. My next step is to subtract. 1 minus 0 is 1. Now, when I bring down my next step, I bring down my next number. I'm 17. And if you take a look here, keep in mind what we did here. We have 17 tens after we broke it down. We split it up into our tens. We have 17 tens here. Now, I'm going to think, how many times does 5 go into 17? And I know the closest number, 5 times 2 is 10. But I also know that 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 4 is 20, and that's too big. It's not smaller or equal to 17, so I'm going to go with 5 times 3. 3. 5 times 3 is 15. And the reason why I'm multiplying that, I first divide it. Remember, my thought was 5 goes into 17 how many times? I said it goes into 3 times. My next step is to then multiply. 3 times 5 is 15. My next step is to then subtract what I have. 7 minus 5 is 2. 1 minus 1 is 0. My next step is to bring down. I'm going to see, do I have anything to bring down? And I do. I have this 5. Now I have 25. I'm going to go back and restart my process and think about this division again. 5 can go into 25 how many times? And again, after we traded in our tens to ones, our ones to tens, we had 25 ones left over here. We have 25 ones left over here to split it up into our 5 equal groups. Now, 25 divided by 5 is, you know that 5 times 5 is 25. So after I divide, multiply, then I subtract. 5 minus 5 is 0, and 2 minus 2 is 0. I have nothing else to bring down. I have no remainders. It's equally split. 175 divided by 5 is 35 in each group. And if you notice, my 2 drawings here then do match up. Let's solve one with some remainders and see if our modeling can match up with our long division again. So remember, to model things out, I'm going to use my base 10 blocks. I have my hundreds, my tens, and my ones. Let's divide 153 divided by 6. So my first step is to draw out my dividend. I'm going to draw 153, and I'm going to divide that into 6 groups. So I have one group here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 equal groups. Now again, I'm going to take my hundreds. I'm going to start from my hundreds place. I cannot split that 100 equally into 6 groups without having to split it apart. So I'm going to break this up into 10 tens, because that equals one of these hundreds blocks. Now with these 10 tens, I have 15 tens total, 5 from my original equation. Now I can split this up into 6 equal groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you notice, I have 3 tens left over. Remember, with these 3 tens, what I can do, I can't just put 1 into these 3 groups because all my 6 equal groups have to be equal. So these 3 tens can be changed into ones. So this 10 can be changed into 10 ones. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then this is changed into 10 ones. And then our last one here is 10 ones. And if you notice, this is a little bit time consuming, but I'm also splitting up my ones a little more spread apart so that when I cross them off, it's not as messy for me to see. So I have 30 ones here, 3 ones from my original equation. So I have 33 ones that I'm going to split into these 6 equal groups. Again, I have a few ones. I know I have a lot. I'm going to go maybe 4 at a time. Maybe I'll just do 3 at a time. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now I still have a good amount of ones. I might just do 2 at a time this time. And now I have 3 ones left over. I can't put, again, 1 in 3 groups. I need to make sure that I have enough for 6 groups. But because I don't, that is going to be my remainder. I have 3 left over. So let's see how many I have in one of these equal 6 groups. I have 2 tens, so 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. All of them are exactly the same. So 153 divided by 6 is 25. And remember, we have a remainder this time of remainder 3. I have 3 left over that I cannot put into these groups. Now let's solve this using long division and see if we can get the same answer. So remember, in our long division, we have our dad, mom, sister, brother. We first divide, then we multiply, we subtract, and we bring down if there is anything to bring down. So let's rewrite 153 divided by 6 using our long division like this. Remember, our dividend goes inside, our divisor on the outside, and I put that multiplication in the corner there. Now 153 divided by 6. My first step is to look at my hundreds place. 6 goes into 1, right? So I'm dividing right now. 6 goes into 1 how many times? And I know that it cannot go in there any times. My next step is to multiply. 6 times 0 is 0. My next step is to then subtract. 1 minus 0 is 1. And my next step is to bring down. 15 tens. I have my 15 tens here. Now 15 tens can be divided into 6 equal groups how many times? And it might not be exactly equal, but as close to as we can. And I know 6 times 2, I know if 6 can go into 15 maybe 2 times with a few numbers left over. If I thought maybe it goes in 3 times with the few numbers left over. When I multiply, 3 times 6 would be 18, and that's way too big. So that's why I went with 2, because I know if I had 3 times here, it would be too big to subtract. So I know it needs to be something lower, so let's go with 2. 6 times 2 is 12. 15 minus 12, my next step, subtract. 5 minus 2 is 3. 1 minus 1 is 0. My next step is to bring down, and I do have a number here to bring down. So 3
Bring it down. My new number to start thinking to divide is 33. Keep in mind, that's what we did here with our model. We have 33 ones. So now if I go back to my step, I'm going to see how many times does 6 go into 33 as equally as we can. And I know that 6 times 5 is 30, and 30 is close to this number. My next step is to multiply. 5 times 6, 30. Next we subtract. 3 minus 0 is 3. 3 minus 3 is 0. And 0 minus nothing is also 0. Now my next step is bring down, but I have nothing to bring down. All our other equations, we ended up with a 0 here. But remember, when we did our pictures, our modeling here shows us we have a remainder of 3, which is exactly what we have here. We have a remainder of 3. Even if we didn't have this picture, this bottom number here tells me I have 3 left over that I cannot split into 6 equal groups. If your number here is larger or the same as your divisor, your equal groups, then you might have thought of a division number here incorrectly. So maybe go back to check your work. But our number here should either be 0 or a remainder that's less than our divisor, because there's nothing that we can divide it into. So the way I'm going to write this, just like here, 25 with the remainder of 3. So I know that 153 divided by 6 is equal to 25 in each of these 6 groups, and I will have a remainder of 3.